चाहिँ मृतक बहादुर लिम्बू श्रीमती एउटा जाहेरी पत्र आज दर्ता हुँदैछ। त्यसलाई स्थानीय सबै
sorry, we can't see. Okay. I need to be able otherwise, are you going to be hit? My name is Michael. VIDLER. I'll give out cards if you want some cards. You've got a contact details on here. You need to contact us. Alright, we're here together with the Hong Kong Human Rights Monitor. In unison. So when we're ready, then we will. Okay. Right. Following the fatal shooting on March the 17th, Hong Kong permanent resident Limbu Bahadur, his family demands that the chief executive create an independent commission of inquiry into his death to consider the wider social context in which it occurred. Mr. Limbu's wife, Rai Soni, is devastated by his death. It leaves her a widow and leaves their 5-year-old daughter without their father. Adding to their anguish were statements made by police to the media immediately following the incident, which appear intent on misleading the public about Mr. Limbu's character. Media reports claim falsely that Mr. Limbu was an illegal immigrant when in fact he was a Hong Kong permanent resident of Nepalese origin. Other reports alleged, inappropriately, that he had a criminal record and suffered an implied mental illness. All these have the impact of blackening his name and trying to justify police behaviour with an unspoken suggestion that Mr. Limbu caused his own death. The coroner's inquest will in due course look into the facts of Mr. Limbu's death. The role of the police at the moment should be to assist the coroner by investigating this incident professionally and thoroughly. The police should not be prematurely seeking to justify the actions of the officer concerned or seeking to preempt the determination of the coroner. It is difficult for the family to understand in the first instance why it is the police who are investigating this matter as opposed to an independent body investigating the death of Mr. Limbu. Although there have been assurances by the authorities as to the police investigation, and a premature release of information about Mr. Limbu has left Mr. Limbu's family confused and concerned about police impartiality. They therefore demand an independent commission of inquiry to look into not only his death, but also the police communication immediately afterwards and the handling by the police of ethnic minority issues in general. We live in a world where there must be tolerance, sensitivity and understanding for the diversity of cultures, races and languages of all citizens. We may not be able to bring back Mr. Limbu, but his family feels only an independent commission of inquiry will ensure no other widow of a member of the community or ethnic minority community will ever stand before you again in similar circumstances. On a final note, I've been asked by Mr. Limbu's family to express their understanding towards the officer concerned and the family, and they note the strain and difficulty that they must be under at this moment. They hope that the officer and his family will recognise that by calling for an independent commission of inquiry, they are seeking a broader understanding of how Mr. Limbu came to lose his life, and to ensure that this does not happen again.
Now, as you said, there will be interject. When should this independent inquiry be set up? And if it's set up now, what are prejudice to it?
We're suggesting that there needs to be an independent commission of inquiry. We suggest that that would take place after the coroner's inquest, and it will be looking into broader issues perhaps such as to whether or why there are not ethnic minority police in certain districts. What is the police policy in relation to recruitment of ethnic minorities? What is the police training dealing with ethnic minorities? All these are issues which won't be covered by the coroner himself, but will, we suggest, be covered. At the moment, what they want to hear and find out is what happened resulting in the death of Mr. Limbu, and they want to see an independent commission of inquiry. The point here is to enhance racial harmony. It is not retribution. If there is legal action in the end, then so be it. But at the moment, the focus of attention is to assist the coroner's inquest and to assist the commission, independent commission of inquiry.
So they will be more comfortable with an independent inquiry as opposed to the outcome of an inquest?
Well, an inquest will look into certain factors. An independent commission of inquiry will be looking into other aspects which will assist a broader understanding of these issues. And that is the focus of why we're here today, to call upon the government to set up an independent commission of inquiry so that there can be a broader understanding of the issues in relation to ethnic minorities policing here in Nepal.
What kind of members that you think that is suitable for the independent investigation? For example, from the ethnic minority groups, or from the barrister, or also into some police officer?
I can't say at the moment, but the whole point is that it should be independent.
So can you explain what is the action today? Are you going to pen any kind of formal application to which department
Well, they will be. There has already been a complaint lodged by Mr. Limbu's brother. Sony Rai will be lodging a complaint, although again we note that the police complaint will be investigated by police officers and not by an independent body. Hence the need, in our view, for an independent commission of inquiry to look into the broader issues in relation to this incident to ensure that nothing like this will happen again.
So how much time do you give the police to respond to your demand?
Well, it's not so much the police responding to the demands, it's a matter for the government to respond and for the chief executive to set up an independent commission of inquiry.
And if this call is ignored?
Well, we are patient, and I'm sure that the government will see the wisdom in promoting social and racial harmony of setting up an independent commission of inquiry to deal with these issues. It is in the interests of Hong Kong itself that these issues are dealt with. We live in a multiracial community, and we have a vibrant ethnic and minority community, and at the moment there is some difficulty by those groups in understanding what is going on and why this investigation is being headed up by the police rather than an independent body. Hence our call for an independent commission of inquiry.
request already to reach the public? Have you handed your request already to
No, ladies and gentlemen, you're the first people to hear this. I understand that Mr. Limbu's brother did raise this previously when there was a march 2 weekends ago, I think it was, where the ethnic minority groups in Hong Kong themselves expressed the concern as to what was going on. So we are supporting the various groups in the ethnic minority community here in Hong Kong in calling for an independent commission inquiry.
But any follow-up actions the group will do if the government continues to ignore the family's suggestions? Because it already 2 weeks after the family proposed for independent investigation. But now the government just totally no response and ask you to go to Keppel, IPCC to follow it.
Well, I'm sure the government will be considering this issue, and I'm sure the government will see the wisdom in dealing with this issue in a proper way, where it is seen to be independent and where the investigations seem to be done by an independent commission of inquiry rather than the police. You have to understand, they are experiencing difficulty in rationalising why the police are investigating the shooting to death of Mr. Limbu by a police officer. With the media, or with the PR machine, the police PR machine's response and release of what we consider to be inappropriate and personal details regarding Mr. Limbu, that confidence has not been increased, and indeed the concerns have been deepened.
So do you think the police cannot do an impartial investigation into the matter?
Well, there's a phrase that justice should not only be done but seem to be done, and the concerns are at the moment that the police are the people investigating, and secondly, there appears to be moves to blacken the name of Mr. Limbu, and those moves appear to have come from the police, and therefore Mr. Limbu's family, and indeed the ethnic minority groups in Hong Kong, are concerned about this, and their concerns they feel can be properly allayed with the setting up of an independent commission of inquiry.
Are those claims?
Will you formally hand in your request to any department or leave it to the court to deal with?
Well, we will be handing in, for instance, this press statement, and I thank you, members of the press, for perhaps publicising these concerns and these calls by the Limbu family and the ethnic minority community themselves. So you will play a part, hopefully, in communicating this idea, and we will be writing to the government to express our views formally, calling for the setting up of this independent commission of inquiry. Initially the Department of Justice, and we'll be writing, copying the letter to the Chief Executive's Office.
Is it possible for Mr. Limbu's wife to say a few words?
So could we invite Mrs. Limbu and his brother-in-law to express their requests and feeling?
Mrs. Limbu is naturally very upset. She is grieving at the moment. She is not confident speaking English, and unfortunately she cannot speak Cantonese, so she's asked me to answer any questions that you may have. I'll try and answer them, but if I can't, I will tell you.
You will ask her questions and ask someone to translate for her.
As I said, I'll try and answer questions, and if they're of a particularly personal nature, I will see whether she's prepared to answer them.
Does Mrs. Limbu know about her husband is living in a hillside in Hong Kong, and is it what really have he really have mental issues? Does she know about it?
These are all issues that the coroner's inquiry will be looking into properly. Okay, and I don't want to preempt what the coroner may find or may not find in relation to what happened as to the death of Mr. Limbu.
But is she aware that Mr. Limbu is living in a hillside, not inside the flat?
Well, again, whether he was living on a hillside or was indeed just on a hillside at the time of this incident are matters which the coroner's inquest will determine.
But how long?
But how much she knows? But how much she knows about his her husband's physical health?
Well, she has been in communication with her husband, and as I said, his physical health or mental health are issues that will be dealt with by the coroner's inquest. Right? There are issues perhaps that can be dealt with by the independent commission of inquiry, looking into, and indeed if this was the case, that he was slipped through any social security net, as to why he slipped through any social security net. Those are issues which can be dealt with by an independent commission of inquiry, could not, for instance, be dealt with by the coroner's inquest. Hence our call for an independent commission of inquiry.
How long will Mrs. Limbu stay in Hong Kong, and where will be the funeral take place?
Well, we don't know yet when the funeral will take place. She will stay in Hong Kong, or she wishes to stay in Hong Kong until the funeral takes place. the coroner's inquest take place and the independent commissioner inquiry takes place.
Does she need to testify in the coroner inquest?
If the coroner feels it necessary, then she will, of course, cooperate.
So then if you could round up again this independent inquiry, what you hoping to achieve, what sort of areas you should be looking into?
We want to look into the broader issues in relation to policing and ethnic minorities. We wanted to look into issues in relation to what guidelines the police have in relation to dealing with ethnic minorities, what training the police have in relation to dealing with ethnic minorities, what recruitment policies they have. I note that I don't think I've ever seen an ethnic minority policeman on the streets of Hong Kong, and one has to consider, well, why not, considering there are established ethnic minority groups here in Hong Kong. We have to answer those questions. Now, those questions are at present unanswered, and they can't be answered by a coroner's inquest. They can, however, be answered by an independent commissioner inquiry. So those are the sort of issues that we want to address.
Mr. Weber, you said Mrs. Limbu has been communicating with her husband. So do you know when did she last saw her husband?
Those are issues which will be dealt with and will come out in the coroner's inquest inquiry.
How about Mrs. Limbu's visa? How long should she stay in Hong Kong?
At the moment, she is entitled to stay here for 3 months. We will no doubt be asking for extensions of that to allow her to remain in Hong Kong, pending the coroner's inquest and pending the independent commissioner inquiry. Well, at the moment she's being supported by the Hong Kong Federation of Nepalese, as well as UNICEF, which is an NGO organisation dealing with ethnic minorities.
Do you have any suggestions as to who should head this inquiry? Who should be included in this?
No, not at the moment. Perhaps we will have some input in due course, but at the moment I can't say that I have anyone particularly in mind who I think should be heading up this commission inquiry. Of course, the important aspect should be that that person should be independent. Possible. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you've got further questions, then feel free to give myself or Mr. Lloyd Kai, who you might want to call, and we'll try and answer your questions. Okay. Yeah.
एउटामा अट्दैन होला अर्कोमा जाउन न हामी पनि जाउँ त अर्कोमा भनिदिनु नि त्यसलाई कसलाई सोध्दैछ नि
Go, no.